Hey, man, the wait is finally over. We're just a few hours away from the first game of the season. There's a little less intrigue on that game, I feel like, than there once was, but there's still plenty. So I am really ready to get into this. This is for anyone watching. This is We Are the Game. I'm Luke, and that's Michael, and we're going to get into our Week 1 picks. We're going to go through the NFL Pick'em page. He's going to make his picks, and I may try to talk him out of a few, but there's going to be some of these where it's just it's kind of a given. I'm sorry, but we can't really talk ourselves into this being a close matchup, and we're probably not going to spend tons of time on those. But by and large, this will be fun to get into. Thank God the season's here. Here we go. All right, man. Get us started with your team giving a snowball's chance in you-know-where against the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, I keep looking for the snowball here on this one. Yeah, they have us listed at 5% as general odds. As much as I'm a Cowboys fan, there's lots of things I am excited to see. And I think there's a lot of things going in the right direction. There's a lot of uncertainty. Everything from our new running game, whatever that'll look like, to the massive change that just happened to our defensive line, and how that worked. I'm very intrigued to see how our new defensive tackle setup is going to work in terms of stopping Saquon Barkley. But I just think the Eagles are returning too much normal pieces to the puzzle into the game. I think they come in. I would love to see this be a relatively close game, but I do see the Eagles coming out on top. Do you see it? Is there something I maybe have missed? Can you give me more hope here for my Cowboys to start off the season with a win?
I'd pick the same. Going in here, I think I would have probably picked the Eagles if you had Micah Parsons. So,
sure. Yeah.
I think that your defense might actually have some moments against theirs. Kenny Clark makes your run defense a little better. I don't think your run defense could be tons worse than it was last year, to be honest. It might be better just by it's hard to be that bad 2 years in a row. It was just having a rough go. I think you were tied for third worst or something like that, or like yards per play or some weird metric. And so, it's going to be hard to be that rough. So that's a weird backhanded compliment way of saying I don't know that you'll get completely run over. And in the past game, at least to start out the season, I think you have both Bland and Diggs. So that could help some, but I worry that your offense is going to be one-dimensional against the top 5 offense in the NFL. Exactly. So It's weird that after the Micah Parsons leaving bit, my main concern would actually be with your offense. But it might actually be. So I think 5% chance is actually right on the nose. Now, you're not going to lose 1-20 or whatever the football score equivalent is, 3-60. But it is leaned heavily against you. So let's go ahead and we'll take Philly there. I think that's a safe pick. All right. Game 2, Friday night, playing in, I think it's Sao Paulo down in Brazil. We've got the Chiefs at the Chargers. Chiefs heavily favored again. I know the loss of I think it's the left tackle Slater for the Chargers is playing into this, but the Chiefs are the Chiefs, so they may have been just favored anyway. What do you think about this one?
Yeah, we talk regularly about how measured the offense often is for the Chiefs. It's like they could try to go all out and score 70 points, but they often don't. They just kind of rely on that defense, keep games low scoring, and then they do what they have to do, and people don't get injured. It works out pretty well for them most of the time. The Chargers, on the other hand, I think it's unfortunate to have any kind of injury right before the start of the season where you're having to play that in. But there's a lot of fun, exciting things on the Chargers. I expect them to continue to improve. I'm actually really intrigued by the running back Hampton. But yeah, I don't see them coming out with a win, even traveling the distance with the Chiefs, which does sometimes play a funny role in how games play out. But yeah, I still see the Chiefs, similarly to the Cowboys game, walking in, playing their normal game, and pulling out a win here.
I got you. Yeah, I think that makes sense. This is going to be one of the weird ones where I actually picked the Chargers. I don't even know that I have a huge case to make for them, except that the Chiefs have struggled sometimes at the beginning of the year. I mean, it's hard to say they struggled at any point in the year last year when they went 15-2, but there have been years in the Andy Reid last 5 years or so where they struggled in the first 5 games. I think Rashee Rice is going to be suspended, so they've got a couple of things that'll be kinks for them. And the Chargers played them pretty tough. I want to say last year, maybe thinking of someone else, maybe thinking of Denver. but I feel like the Chargers have a chance.
Yeah.
So were I making the picks, I'd probably pick the Chargers. But it should be the Chiefs. They just look like the more complete team, and their defense is there. But I have some lingering questions about last year. So, and I like what a lot of the changes the Chargers made. So I would pick the Chargers, but I totally get the Chiefs pick.
Well, and I won't argue with the upset. I'm all for it if they can pull it out.
Oh yeah, happy engagement present. All right, first of the Sunday morning or Sunday afternoon games: Buccaneers at Falcons. Bucks heavily favored again, similarly actually to Chiefs over Chargers, identical. In fact, I don't know why I wasn't looking at that math, but I wasn't. So, who you got in this one? Any upset here?
No. I think these teams have the potential to actually be decently even in some ways if Michael Penix Jr. is anything near what they have kind of said that he looks like in camp. He looks amazing. He has weapons. Like, the guy has weapons, but it's an unknown quantity. The Bucs are very known. We know exactly what they are, and now they're adding Igbuka in there as well. It's like, well, what does he bring to the table, and how well is he connected with Baker? It'll be fun to watch. I expect the Buccaneers to come out and win this one, but I feel like similarly they do have occasionally a tendency to come out a bit on the slow side. So we'll see. But I think the Bucs pull this one out easy.
Yeah, I think I agree. I heard someone say that it may have been on Rich Eisen that the winner of this game may actually go on to win the division. Not strictly because of this game, but I mean, that division is most likely going to come down to one of these two teams. So it would make some sense. I still have questions about Penix. I just didn't see enough last year, but give me 6 or 7 games going into this season, and I'll have more of an opinion on him. Starting off with a win against a division rival who's the favorite to win that division would be a great start for him. So it would be huge. But yeah, I think I would pick the Bucs as well. I really like a lot of the changes they made on defense. Just in general. I think they might be missing one of their best, if not their best, offensive linemen for the first little while this season. We'll see. But even with that, I think they're just a better team, and the Falcons aren't a bad team. I think the Bucs are just a better team. So then we got an Ohio matchup. Bengals favored heavily over the Browns. Weird offseason for the Bengals. Also weird for the Browns. I guess it was just weird Ohio kind of stuff. I don't know. But whatever the case, do you see any way that the Browns upset this one outside of just general AFC North shenanigans?
I mean, the short answer is no, not really. That's not even really in this game. I think I'm mostly intrigued by the Bengals defense. Do they exist? Right. And if they can show up and really start like being because that's, if they don't have that, I don't know how far they'll make it this season, even with what I expect will be one of the best offenses in the league. That's how I see this one. There's some neat things on the Cleveland side. I don't trust them at all at this point. What do you think? You have more faith in them or no?
Not much, if any more. Their path to victory, I guess, if they have it, is they've got to get pressure on Joe Burrow and force him to turn the ball over. Maybe a couple of strip sacks or something like that. I believe they're going to go with Joe Flacco to start the season. If Joe Flacco has one of his here we go, let's go Joe kind of moments, then he could have one of those games where we think, oh man, he's still a competent starter. And if he has the other game, then this is really, then this 10% is ridiculous. It should be like 1. So he's a big roll of the dice, but yeah, no, it should go Bengals. I'm kind of curious about their new look defense with this new defensive coordinator. It should be Bengals by a substantial margin. So, all right, Dolphins Colts. Dolphins favored pretty heavily, but I think there's just a lot of uncertainty with the Colts, maybe. So, give me this one. What do you think, Dolphins Colts?
Well, it's funny. I feel like we were talking about this one a few days ago, and I feel like where we were looking, they had the odds the other way around. And so it's kind of funny. I can see this scenario easily. I will not be shocked if the Colts win this one. I don't think I would pick them. I think from a safety side, if Tua is healthy, and Tua, when he's healthy, this is an elite offense. When he's healthy, I think that he's the advantage. They've just got so many other good parts in place. There's a lot of good things going on with the Colts, but the whole Daniel Jones, how does he working? Have they worked out all the kinks there? But I'm excited to see how they come out of the gate. I would not be shocked if they are clicking on offense. I wouldn't be shocked to see the Colts pull out a win here at home. I think that would be a really powerful start for them, and in particular for Daniel Jones on his resume going in here. Yeah. Would you be shocked if they won it, or do you see that as like a far out thing?
I wouldn't be shocked if the Colts won it. I'd be a little bit shocked if the Colts won it on the back of Daniel Jones. Like if it's, hey, they ran the ball well, they got a good turnover, Tua didn't play his best game or something like that. The loss of Jalen Ramsey is felt. Those kind of things. Okay, it's like, okay, I could see that happening. But if it's Daniel Jones comes out and has 300 in the air and another 40 on the ground and 3 touchdowns, I was like, yes, I'll be shocked to see that. So this is actually a game that I'm really intrigued to watch. The Dolphins, everyone's predicting, not everyone, a lot of people are predicting them to kind of implode at some point this year. I don't think it's going to be week 1. I think it'd be halfway through the season before the real indicators of this is a mess are really starting to hit. So I think week 1, they should still be pretty strong. I'd probably pick right alongside you, but anyone who picked the Colts here, even if they weren't Colts fans, or even if they were rather Colts fans, I would totally get it. I think this is closer than 76-24. So, yeah. All right. Next, give me Panthers and Jaguars. Jaguars favored awfully heavily. I don't know if this is just Travis Hunter fan club got a little bit got into this one or what, but this one's interesting how lopsided this is. Tell me what you think.
Yeah, I agree on many. On some level, I feel like all of these, as we look through the percentages, are based heavily on what people feel like are the knowns, like what's stable. And I would agree that on general, a lot more pieces on the Jaguars are stable-ish. Trevor Lawrence has his ups and downs and all of that, but I actually am planning for the Panthers to take this one. And that's just because I really do like what they've done with their offense. I think adding McMillan and having him and Leggett, if Bryce Young can evolve just a little bit, take that next step, now that he's got a little experience under his belt, I see them as a really potentially useful, powerful kind of duo. I love their running game that they've set up. I love Chuba Hubbard. Now they've added Rico behind him. He was great for us in the role that we had him in last year. The question, I think, in many ways is going to be, can Bryce put the ball in the end zone, in the red zone? And then also, is their defense come around at all? Is their defense taking a step? They're going to build some cohesion to stop some offense a little bit. I think the answer to that is yes. So I expect to see them come out, let Bryce run the offense, get some yards, score some points, take this game from the Jaguars. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately the same, oddly enough. Looking at this from the other side, the Jaguars, they're probably the more even team. Like their offense and defense both have some things going for them, whereas the Panthers, it seems like all their development has been on offense. And so their offense might look fairly strong this year. They may challenge the Bengals for the defensive problems. So we'll see. But the Jaguars are kind of even-ish. We'll see. The Jaguars, I feel like, have played a little better at the start of the season recently. I'm trying to remember now. I may have to eat my words there. But the Panthers have really struggled recently in the first half. I mean, last year, they benched Bryce Young in the first half of the season. Not the entire first half, but in the first games. And then he got strong to close out the season. They're kind of the reverse Cardinals. And so I could see the Jaguars winning this game because of more trends than actual team makeup. Like if the teams play to what they are, I think this will be a close game, but I think I also have the Panthers winning. Yeah. So that was a weird roundabout way of summarizing. Yeah. I'm hoping really hard, I guess. All right. I think this is one of the best games in the first bracket. We've got Raiders and Patriots. It's a lot of expectation for both teams, not necessarily expectation for winning a Super Bowl, but like expectation for change and improvement and things like that. So I think almost universally people really like what both teams have done. This should be one of the more fun games. Who do you have winning?
I have the Raiders winning. I think that, look, there's a lot of people who are going to be Pete Carroll fans, and they're going to say, "Oh, let's see, it's going to change everything." Yes, but I think he sold me slowly on Gino, and like him knowing what he is and being comfortable with what he is and not trying to be anything that he's not. He's got great weapons on this team already. Who doesn't want to see Brock Bowers? Like, let's see Brock Bowers with a really functional offense. I'm very intrigued by this. I think that they come back. Max Crosby going down, Drake May, all of that. I think that this is going to be a good matchup. With that being said, I think the Patriots are going to show up, and I do want to see progression from Drake May. I think he has a lot of potential. I want to see him succeed there. I just think that the Raiders now, if Carroll's going to sell through the game plan, I think that they are going to make huge progress in a tough division this year. So that's what I have. How crazy do you think that is?
I don't think it's too crazy. It's really close. I could easily pick the Patriots here over the Raiders, but it's close. I think I like what the Raiders have done a little bit more. And for these year 2 quarterbacks, so many of them, I'm like, I need you to prove it, especially the guys who may not have been prolific year 1, like Bo Nix or Jaden Daniels. For Drake May, we kind of said, hey, we need you to improve these things, and not just Drake May, but the entire team around him. And they did a lot of those things. And so it seems like it should work, but now I need to see it actually work. So I'm expecting to see significant, substantial improvement, but it might take a few games. So I think I'd probably end up picking the Raiders as well. It's just being played, it looks like, in New England. So maybe that gives them the edge. But yeah, I guess, again, if I were making the picks, I like more immediately what the Raiders have done than what the Patriots have done for week 1. If this is week 10, it might be a different story. So yeah, we'll see. All right, here we go. Now we're talking. All right, Cardinals and Saints. Cardinals favored by an almost scary amount. Tell me what you think.
Well, I think the only reason that it's scary to you is, as a Cardinals fan, you feel like you're getting set up. And I can appreciate that. I mean, I think on paper, for sure, this is clearly the way it should be. The Cardinals are heavily returning from last year. They, in their division, if you look at points for and points against, like, they were a very good team in that regard. They just seemed to end up on the wrong side of losses, the losses that they had. The Saints have so many question marks. I feel like there's a massive question mark at the quarterback position as to who's really how sold are they to a particular quarterback, and how many games will they get to play. There's just a lot of question marks on that side. I think that Cardinals win this one. I would love to see the Cardinals win this one handily and avoid any injuries. That would be my kind of goal on this one. I know you have some trepidation in general, mostly by it being a 90-10 split year, but do you see it any other way?
No, that's the way it should go. I think if the Saints are going to have any chance, they've got to protect Spencer Rattler, give him some time. We have a revamped defensive front in particular. They're wanting to get back, we think, they're wanting to get back more to rushing 4 rather than exotic blitz packages with safeties and linebackers and such. So if we overcommit to trying to rush with just 4, and they can actually keep those 4 out of their backfield, and maybe they've got a shot at producing something. Obviously, if they can make Kyler Murray make a bad throw or 2, that'll really help them as well. But this is a hard one not to be a homer for, because it just looks like a bad matchup. We run the ball well, and they were, I think, tied with Dallas last year for like run game defense efficiency, or they were near the bottom. And so, how you guys struggled, they were right there with you and the Panthers and some of these teams that really just didn't have much. And we run the ball quite well. So we should win this game. I'm similar to yourself. I'm hoping for no injuries, keep the penalties down,
stay within
things
yourself,
like that. So I am obviously excited to see it regardless, but this shouldn't even be all that close. So, all right. Steelers at Jets. We've got the double revenge game for Aaron Rodgers and Justin Fields. So it's being played in New York, but they are still favoring the Steelers by a mountain. So any chance for the Jets here?
I mean, off the top of my head, I would say no. I mean, there's always a chance, right? I think this will be a well watched game just for the revenge aspect. How often do you have this kind of a setup? But I don't anticipate. I don't think the Jets have the right pieces in place. If Aaron is at all himself, I think that the Steelers with that defense play a smart game, walk away from this one. I would think this for them is more about building momentum. And I think for the Jets, it's figuring out what they have and how it works together still. So that's how I would view it. I think this is pretty appropriate at 88-12. So I'll stick with the Steelers on this. What about you? You see Justin leading them to a win?
Not exactly. I see their defense somehow leading them to a win. I think that even with the reversal, the whole prior knowledge thing, I think lends more to the Jets defense than the Steelers offense. Now, we've talked about this in the offseason. I have a little bit more faith in Aaron Rodgers' remaining ability than a lot of people do. But this game, I think, just works badly for him. I have a feeling the Jets are going to sneak away with this one. It'll probably be a close game, something like 17-15 or something weird like that. But I think somehow the Jets are able to put this together. You got Justin Fields running around against an older Steelers defense primarily. I think this might actually work. So I'm actually going to pick the Jets to win this one in a weird upset. But the Steelers should overall be the better roster and have the better record at the end of the season. Spoiler. But I think for this game, it just happens to work out in this way. And then, of course, everyone's going to go off. It's the other prediction. Everyone's going to talk about Aaron Rodgers. Hey, he's done. He's so gone. Yeah. Now, for the most, we've already had the most. One of the more lopsided predictions, we've got Giants Commanders. Yeah, I was like, sorry to call back the Cowboys game again. So we got the Giants at the Commanders. There's really not much. It's weird. There's not tons of hype going into this game, even though there's tons of hype going into the Commanders season. They're just like, they play the Giants week 1, moving on. But what do you got for me? Anyway, the Giants win this one.
No. Like that's the long and the short of it. No. Okay. Yeah, I think the biggest thing I want to see in this game is Jade. Well, I mean, I'm intrigued by some of the things on the Giants. Don't get me wrong. Again, the Commanders should win this game. Jaden, I just want to see Jaden adopt a little bit more pocket comfort. And I think this is a good game for him to start really getting in that and using his legs as a less than, not being such a go-to as legs guy. Hopefully he studied more film on RG3 so that he can take some of that into consideration. So, no, I think the Commanders easily win this one. What about you? You see the Giants' new pieces showing up?
Maybe, but first, you don't even really need to watch tons of RG3 film. There's just one play. Just watch that one play.
Yeah.
So just make sure he's seen that one. But as for the Giants showing up and upsetting here, I don't think they have much of a shot. I think that they're, play into their strength. What are their strengths? If you were to ask me on both sides of the ball, it would be their defensive line. And they could probably be one of those teams that can just rush for and maybe get some real pressure. I think that might give them a bit of a chance. But Jaden's going to run circles around him, I think, from time to time. So we'll see how that plays out. And then on the other side of the ball, if Russ's deep ball with like Malik Neighbors, let's just say, can work out pretty well, maybe they could score enough points that way. I do think, again, there's the strong chance that this one will not be a lopsided victory, even though maybe the outcome is an almost certainty that this could be close, like 23-27 or something like that. I have to pick the Commanders to win. I think they're the more complete team, but let's make it close. I could go with the close games. All right, so I think this is the first matchup. Wow. Okay, see, look, they outdid you. It's worse than Dallas. There you go. So the first game of the afternoon set. On Sunday, we've got the Titans at the Broncos. The Broncos are almost completely favored. There are a few holdouts, but primarily people are at very best thinking that Cam Ward's going to need a minute. So what do you think on the Titans and Broncos?
Yeah, I love the underdog, and I'd love to root for I happily will root for plenty of pieces on the Titans. I think if I was the starting quarterback for the Broncos, they would still win. I think that their defense is absolutely terrifying to me. I think they're so well balanced, and they're going to be a bit of a nightmare for a young quarterback coming in. I think they're going to try to run the ball some with Tony. Tony's great. I would still expect the Broncos to shut that down pretty handily. Their offense has looked really good. Bo's done a great job. I'll be interested to see where he is this year coming in and the pieces that he's already gotten used to coming back, playing right through it. I think this is an easy game for Broncos and a good learning experience, hopefully, for Cam and the Titans offense figuring things out. What about you?
Yeah, I think you're probably right. There's not even really a way for me to talk myself into this one. Some of the more lopsided ones, I'm like, oh, maybe just maybe this way. But this one, it is rough. So,
yeah.
What was that?
Yeah, I just couldn't find a way. Like you, I'd love to find a way for the Titans.
No, it's not that I don't like the Broncos. I like what they're doing there a lot, actually. But
yeah,
I just can't. It's too much. I think Cam Ward seems to have the right personality type to deal with this, like bounce back from this, what is likely to be a nasty welcome to the NFL moment.
Yeah.
So good luck to them, but I don't think there's enough luck available. So, okay. To me, this one's a little surprising because if I were an odds maker, I'd have probably flipped this, but I think a lot of people are assuming that for San Francisco at the Seattle Seahawks, I think they're assuming that San Francisco is just going to be back and everything's going to be like it was 2 years ago. And that's a weird assumption. So I don't know what all Vegas knows that we don't. They know lots of stuff that we don't. But give me the Niners at the Seahawks and tell me why the odds are the way they are.
I don't know that I understand the odds here either. I see this as a real 50-50 to me. There's really exciting things on both sides that have question marks to me. Who is Christian McCaffrey, right? That's a big one to me. If Christian's 100%, 99, 98%, man, that's a massive change his offense. And I think we've seen that. It is a very effective offense for a running back. We saw two other running backs last year kind of step into it and do great, which is great. That's awesome. But who is he and where is he and all of that? I think that the 49ers are coming in a great spot overall, but first off, playing in the Seahawks stadium is its own factor. Second, Sam Darnold just came off a really good year where everyone will only talk about the pre-playoff game and all of that. I appreciate that, but that's a pretty wild year to be coming off of, stepping into this offense. They bring in Cooper Kupp to be – I think there's so many positives here. I really actually think that the Seahawks pull this one out. Now, I'm not saying that as a 60-40. I think that's more of like a 53-47 kind of thing. But I see the Seahawks, and I'll even give their advantage just to the field. I think it's that close a game. It'll be very interesting. There's a lot of fun things to see. If I was going to a game and I could pick any game to go to, this might be that game. Although there's some other games coming up where I think they're going to be very similarly well-balanced teams, good matchup.
Yeah, I feel you. We've talked about in the offseason, if the Seahawks offensive line can be middle of the pack, it can be the 17th best offensive line as far as protections and penalties and rush game and all that in the NFL, I think they win the NFC West. And I hate those words as they come out my mouth.
I know you
but
do.
That's the big question, and I don't think they did enough. They had one of the worst offensive lines in the league last year, and they added one guard. And I'm like, I don't care if it's Zach Martin. Adding that one guard is not going to take you to the upper echelon. So yeah. I'm interested to see what that does, but I don't know that it's there just yet. But even with that, I'd probably still pick Seattle. I think all of the Niners wide receivers are out. Not all of them. They of course have wide receivers, but I mean, like most of their stars, I think are having trouble going into week one. Like you said, huge question mark on Christian McCaffrey.
Yep.
I'm giving this one to Seattle vomit.
Yep.
So prove me wrong, San Francisco. All right, so then we've got the Detroit Lions taking on the Green Bay Packers, and I bet this percentage was a bit more lopsided a week ago.
Yeah.
Tell me what you think of this game. Obviously, we're making this after the Micah Parsons trade has taken place. So the Packers are viewed as being improved, but the Lions are favored 67% over 33% likelihood.
Yeah, in my mind, I just imagine the team coming into the locker room and, Gibbs being there. And, as soon as everybody else gets in, he's just laughing, right? Because Green Bay gives up their high-end defensive tackle to get Micah Parsons. He doesn't need to worry about Micah. So he may have a much better day after all of that. So I think going in, he's probably happy. But I would guess that he's the only one. So, Micah being there is a real factor. He is not a huge factor in the run game. So maybe it changes things, but I do think the Lions will stick with their general game plan. They'll have to have planned more for him on the offensive line for sure. The Packers are a balanced team. I don't think that this is as lopsided as this in my head, especially at Lambeau. I feel like this is a much more 50-50 game than this. I think the Lions have had some movements on their offensive line and around their offensive line. So I think this is going to be a challenging game, very close. Jordan Love is going to be in it. I think I would actually pick up Green Bay on this one to pull out a sneaky win. They tend to do that. They did it to Dallas just a couple years ago. So they have a way of doing that. Jordan seems to really rise to the occasion. And so I could see them sneaking out an early win, which would be enormous for this team in it. But I think this is a close game going in. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, chances are you're right that it's going to be close. I think I would pick the Lions here. I think with them getting their defensive guys back that they were missing at the end of the last season, that will really help them going into this season. They'll probably run the ball more. People looking for a shootout might actually want to look away. This is liable to be a ground and pound game, oddly enough. And so where the Packers got better at getting after the quarterback, they may have taken at least a minor step back. I have stated even that Micah Parsons isn't as much a run stopper as he is a pass rusher. It might get overstated a little bit, the effect of that. That doesn't mean you're just going to be able to run on them at will. Right. But it will theoretically open up a window to, okay, we're going to run on them a bit more. So Jahmyr Gibbs is liable to get a healthy workout. So I would pick Detroit, but again, I do think it'll be nice and close. So all right.
Sounds good.
Next, this you mentioned a minute ago. I was like, oh, I'd probably go to the San Francisco-Seattle game. I was like, no, this is the game I think I'd go to. It's the Texans at the Rams. The Rams are favored 70-30 in Los Angeles. I think everyone knows what the huge question is for them. It's Matt Stafford's back. It's been talked about into oblivion, but it's a reasonable question to ask considering the nature of what it is. And it's one of the most popular quarterbacks in the NFL. So who you got winning this one? Texans, Rams.
Yeah, I have Houston on this one. I know Stafford's back. That's great. And I think Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter will be waiting for him. It'll be interesting. And he's a wizened vet. He knows how to handle this sort of stuff, but they're a terrifying force. And so I think that they're going to be a factor. You've got Stroud and Chubb. I think there's opportunities to go both directions in the air, on the ground. Both these teams are good. I think that it's going to be a challenge playing out at the Rams, but I see the Texans pulling this one out, having the pieces in place, ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and call that Christian Kirk plays a role in this one. We'll see how that goes. That's my call ahead of time, though.
Yeah, no, that makes some sense. Yeah, I mean, again, it's easy for me to root for the Texans here because it's against the Rams. I think that their defense matches up quite well against what the Rams do on offense, even if what they were doing on offense was completely healthy and Matt Stafford was 28. I think that they would match up pretty well against what they try to do. I think they're in the competition for top 5 defense in the NFL this year, and that might be enough. Questions are on the other side of the ball. You got a very athletic, very fast defensive line for the Los Angeles Rams. That's one of the best defensive lines in the NFL, kind of like Seattle and the Giants. And anyway, so if the Texans can protect CJ Stroud, that's the whole game to me. if they can't, it's going to be a low-scoring game where it's like 18-15 or something strange, and the Rams will get the win. But I think that if they can protect him much at all, I think Nick Chubb is actually going to start because Mixon has big questions. If they can get the run game to kind of at least sort of go in complimentary terms, that'll give them a great shot. I think I would probably also pick the Texans here. You took the Texans, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But again, now on the other side of this, if Stafford is completely healthy, or hell, if he's capable of 100%, I know his back's probably going to hurt regardless, and then he's going to get hit by a football player. But like, if he's capable for the entire game, that gives them a good shot. And this is not a game where the Texans, not a game where I think they're going to blow out the Rams, but they should win this game if their defense can beat what their defense needs to be and is predicted to be. And if their offensive line can kind of protect it. I know they just lost Laramie Tunsil, but if they can kind of protect CJ Stroud, they'll have a good shot in this game. Maybe I'm biting too much on this Matt Stafford back stuff, but here we are. So, all right, next. Ravens at Bills. Again, we may both have to eat our words. Maybe this is the game we should be going to. I do think that the others will be good, but week one, man, they're going to spoil us a little bit. The endorphin rush will be real. So who do you have? Ravens at Bills. Bills favored heavily. Who you got?
I wonder how much of that's just home field, but man, I've got Baltimore. I've got Baltimore in this. I just feel like they're so dynamic, and I do love Derrick Henry. There's a disclaimer there. I wish we had the freight train, but the ability to kill you in the air or on the ground or with your quarterback running, how do you have any idea in the red zone where that ball's going? I have no idea. So I think that, and their defense is nothing to laugh at. I think their defense is a little bit better than the Bills in general. So yes, I feel like it's all of these pieces that work really well together on the Ravens side versus Josh Allen. And I don't mean to say that there's nobody else there, but it's his ability to will himself and his team into wins is, I would say, unparalleled in the league. But that has its limitations. So I still, again, I see this one more as closer to 50-50 than I do 70-30. But yeah, I'll take Baltimore on the win here. We'll see how that plays out. That's how I would take it.
Yeah, that oddly enough, even with the percentages being what they're listed here, I'd have to agree. I think that Baltimore. Yeah, I'm not even going to say. I was going to say maybe they've struggled in the first weeks or something. Maybe that's why they're doing this. I know last year there was the Isaiah Likely toe, not a touchdown thing, but like. I don't think there's any weird trend like that to get over and really consider. Both teams made good changes in the offseason, coming in obviously pretty healthy, if not completely healthy. I don't think there's any initial issues for either team. So I think I would actually pick the Ravens. The Ravens probably have the best roster in the NFL right now or if not, it's the Eagles, but it's right there. And so I would think that, honestly, I would think the percentages might be skewed the opposite way going into this game. In Buffalo, we're not. So, but yeah, they really are spoiling us week one with these matchups, man. My word. Okay. So moving into Monday night, spoiling complete. Now it's Vikings at Bears. There is actually a lot of questions, a lot of intrigue for both of these teams. We'll finally get to see J.J. McCarthy in the regular season, assuming nothing happens between now and Monday night, knock on wood. And then Caleb Williams here too. They are expecting the Vikings to win 76-24, not to overscore, but 76% leaning towards the Vikings win. If it's 76-24 at the end, that'll be quite the game to watch. Who you got winning this one?
In short, the Vikings. I don't think that it'll be that easy, really. But I do have the Vikings. I think that the Vikings defense is obviously an elite defense. And I expect to see Caleb progress beyond what he was doing last year. And there were some good things he was already doing. He has a lot of weapons. There's a lot of positive things going on for him. But McCarthy's going to have some challenges. But he has who doesn't want in his position? He can just lob the ball up for Justin. That's a real luxury to have. Aaron Jones being pretty healthy, it seems like right now. So we'll see how that all goes. But yeah, I think that the Vikings will pull this one out. Might be a fairly close game, but I think the Vikings will pull this one out. What about you? You see Caleb leading the Bears in a early charge to get some momentum?
I think it could be close. I'm tempted to pick the Bears, similar to what we talked about with the Patriots earlier. The Vikings had some issues going into the Bears had some issues going into the offseason, and they seem to have targeted a lot of those things. So I do like a lot of what they did, and I think it'll be closer. Now, last year when they played the Vikings and they were in Chicago, it actually went to overtime, and that was against the what turned out to be a 14-3 Vikings team. And like so many others, I do think the Vikings could take a step back this year, still be an 11-win team and make the playoffs and all that, but take a step back this year, just not have as much, I wouldn't say go right, but just not be quite as dominant. And the Bears might take a step forward. So I would actually probably pick the Bears to win this game. It would be kind of deliberately trying to pick against the herd, if I'm being honest. I think that
I get it.
Roster to roster, even with the uncertainty about J.J. McCarthy, you should pick the Vikings. But I do like a lot of the changes the Bears made. And again, just to kind of upset things, I'd pick the Bears just to mess with people. But we'll see. We'll see. Be good. That wraps up. That wraps up the entire week. I don't know why I thought there were 2 Monday night games week 1, but not this year. So tell us what you think down in the comments about each game. How's your team going to do? Are we just ridiculously silly for thinking that it's not going to go the way that you think it's going to go? That's perfectly fine. We don't know what's going to happen. I'm just looking forward to a Cardinals game, and I'm glad the offseason's over. So with all that being said, we're trying to get up to 100 subscribers. Won't say by the start of the NFL season anymore, but we're trying to get up to 100 subscribers. We appreciate anyone that would be willing to click a like and subscribe, any of those things. And for everyone who already has, a big thank you. And we look forward to talking about some more football moving forward. We'll get into some more picks next week and kind of look at how we did this week. So with all that being said, have a fantastic day.